Hey everyone. Today's tip is about the power of research in prospecting. Now, what is this about? Everybody knows that the better you are at building rapport, at you are connecting with referral partners, whether it's an attorney, an accountant, a financial planner, insurance agent, whomever it is that you're looking to build your business with or build a relationship with, that we know building that trust is so key. But one of the things that I am amazed in my travels when I'm talking to coaching clients, or especially new coaching clients who don't know this yet, or just in general, when I'm even doing a seminar and I'm polling people on how few originators will actually take the time to research their target. What do I mean by research? Find out in advance what you can do to connect with them. Now, I'm going to give you a bunch of examples. So, first and foremost, let's say you're going to a networking function. So, real simple. You're talking to the person who's handling the networking function, and you ask this question. You say, you know, being new to this networking function, I'm looking to meet either a professional real estate agent or an attorney or an accountant or a financial planner or whomever. And I was wondering if you could help me and direct me to let me know who I should introduce myself to that is here. Or maybe you might even be able to introduce me to them. So that strategy is very, very simple. But what's amazing is the most times you get this name or you get this contact, you got to do is just get the name, get the contact, pick up your phone before you go and get the introduction, before you go and meet that person. Do a quick search on them. Where do you search? Start with Google. Now, Google is going to take you to their LinkedIn, possibly their Instagram, their own personal website, their real estate office website. You never know what you're going to find. You can learn a lot about people just by doing this in a matter of seconds. In some cases, it could be as simple as they might give you some personal information that you can connect with them on. In another case, sometimes there might be no personal information. It's all business and there's nothing there for you to latch onto. But even the way they might have their pictures tell a thousand words. We've all heard that expression. And sometimes just the way someone looks in a picture, you can almost get a sense of what it will be like when you meet with them. Are they going to be all business? Are they going to be a little bit more casual? Because usually pictures reflect what people's personalities are if you just look at them for just a second longer and ask, what is this picture saying? You know, it's amazing what you can learn just through these little things of looking. But here's an example. So I was doing a coaching call with someone the other day and they were talking about how to get a relationship with a real estate office, and they've been working with the secretary or not secretary, executive assistant, or we'll call him even the gatekeeper, okay, of the office. And the gatekeeper is actually working on getting my client introduced to do a virtual meeting or an in-person meeting with all the agents, and she's the one that takes care of this. So the conversation was going really well with this person, and all of a sudden it just kind of keeps getting pushed off. So there's still communication between my client and the person at the real estate office who's going to set it up, but it keeps getting pushed off. So what I did right on a coaching call is I did a quick Google search. And what we found is that this person who's working at the front desk has basically graduated college in 2021. So this is one of their first jobs or what have you, and or first jobs after graduation. And they graduated, I forgot what college it was. I don't know if it was the University of Texas or Florida or whomever it was. And I just told my client, okay, it was Florida. That's right. I told my client, go on to the University of Florida website, go to their bookstore, purchase a long sleeve t-shirt, a light t-shirt, not anything crazy expensive. And what you do is either deliver it or send it to this person and say, just in case there's another cold spell in Florida. Now, when we were having this coaching call, it turned out that the week prior, it was in the 40s and 50s in Florida, and everybody was bitching and complaining about how cold it was. So here's the thing. Now, time out. I know what everybody's going to start saying. RESPA, RESPA, RESPA. I'm going to give you my disclaimer first. I am not an attorney. I am not an accountant. I am not a financial planner. I am not an insurance agent. I do not give legal advice. But what I will tell you is I do know a lot about RESPA. And the key to RESPA, and if you go on to this, there's a wealth of information. If you really want to understand where the problem's coming in RESPA, go to the CFPB website and read the FAQs on RESPA. They have broken this down in such simple terms that anybody can understand what you can or cannot do. But RESPA explicitly talks about giving an inducement to someone in exchange for business. So if you go to the assistant and say, here's a shirt, again, I'm giving you my opinion. You give a shirt, and I know there's an attorney out there who's going to disagree with me, but that's fine. You give them a shirt and say, just in case it gets cold here in Florida again. Nothing about, here's a shirt, get me into the agents. Nothing about, hey, I'll give you a shirt in exchange for you doing this. All of those things, in my understanding, are completely illegal to do. But just to give something to get noticed, absolutely not. And it doesn't matter whether it's an assistant, it doesn't matter whether it's a realtor, it doesn't matter who you're doing business with. When you basically say, I will do this in exchange for business, that's where the biggest problem comes in. Now, what I will share with you is a number of years ago, about 3, 4 years ago, I was asked to do a training for a mortgage company that wanted to hire me to do a presentation for a bunch of realtors. Not a problem. Not the first time I've done it. Not the last time I'm going to do it. But there was something about a conversation that came up in regard to RESPA. And I said, you know what? Although I don't believe that I have a problem, I don't want my client to have a problem. And I also personally didn't want to have a problem. So what I did is I went onto the CFPB website to see if there was anything that I could find. And the answer to my question was not there. Then I reached out to the CFPB and they redirected me back to the website. And again, I had to go back to them and say, what I'm looking for is not there. Long story short, if you push far enough, you can actually have a conversation with a CFPB attorney, which is exactly what I did. And when I had the conversation, it took me 3 months to get this appointment with the CFPB attorney. But when I actually spoke to the CFPB attorney, I will never forget this. They said he said a couple of very key things. One, that there can't be a RESPA violation unless a transaction is closed. That's the first thing that has to happen. You cannot have a RESPA violation until there's a transaction that closed. But what he did say also is he said, when we are investigating, we always start with this question: how did the relationship begin? And if the relationship began with an inducement for an exchange, that's where there's most likely going to be a violation. And I burned those words into my head for the simple fact that so many people think like you can't even take a realtor out to lunch. I mean, everybody does it and what have you. If you say to a realtor, again, I'm going to say this again to cover my own butt. I'm giving you my opinions based on my interpretations of everything in my conversation with the CFPB and also what I saw on the CFPB website. If you go to a realtor and say, look, I'm going to take you to lunch if you give me business. I'll take you to the sporting event if you give me business. That is a problem. But if you're just out there talking to someone about having a conversation, finding out about their business and exploring opportunities, and you're never talking about an exchange of one thing versus the other, there's really not an issue here. And if you go on the CFPB website, you look under the FAQs, they even talk about the scenario of where there's a pattern of behavior of doing something. So, for example, let's say you're doing business with an agent and you're constantly giving them, I'm here in New York, so let's say I'm a loan officer and I'm constantly giving that real estate agent, every time I get a deal, I'm giving them tickets to the Knicks or to the Rangers or to the Islanders or some sporting event or a Broadway show. Even though I never said to them, you keep giving me business, I'll keep doing this. If there's that pattern of constant exchange, that's where a problem comes in. But a one-shot deal where you're just having a conversation and you're getting to know somebody, that is not where the issue lies. And so when I talk about research, which is really what this is about, Let's see what you can find out. Let me give you another example. Another example was a few years ago, I had a client, well, just before COVID, had a client, had a great closing with a owner of a real estate firm, small company, but it was actually the owner, the broker, and this broker did a lot of business. So my client at the time, they had great rapport. They met at the closing. Yes, we're going to do business. We're going to get together. All the usual things that happen. Of course, the ether went down after the closing, and now she had trouble getting a hold of the real estate broker. So what did I say to her? I said, let's take a look. So on a coaching call, I went on with the coaching call and I looked and I found out that the real estate broker, besides everything and her accolades about business, she loved cooking and she loved basketball. She actually played basketball. So I told my client, go to the not toy store, a sporting goods store, buy a basketball, drop it off with a note saying, since I can't get a hold of you on the phone, I'm now going to challenge you to a game of one on one. Now, is that saying I'm giving you a basketball for business? Absolutely not. It's about getting attention. We have to understand that that's what we need to do. That's what research is all about. It's not about going up to that person at the networking function and saying, "Hey, I just stalked you and I know you like basketball." No, that's not what I'm telling you to do. And I know you're not. I know you know that I'm not telling you to do that. What I'm telling you to do is just see what you can find out. Now, again, I'm giving you my opinions here. If you are not comfortable buying anything for anyone just to even get their attention, you're not even going to buy them lunch or what have you. I respect it. I get it. I have no problem with that. I'm not going to tell you how to do this. What I will share with you, though, very simply is this, that when you do research, you'll never know what you can find until you do the research, whether it's on Google, whether it's on LinkedIn, whether it's on Instagram, whether it's their websites, Facebook, whatever it may be. You might find something that's gonna allow you to connect with them. You might find something that find someone that there's absolutely nothing. Now, if you listen to other trainings or things that I've talked about, as long as you have your positioning in place and your positioning is about what you're going to do to help them, okay, with their business, whether you can help them get more business, whether you're going to close your deals faster or communicate better, whatever your unique selling proposition is to get their attention, so you could have a meeting, not what you're going to do in exchange for business, what you're going to do to get their attention, then it's wide open for you because you're not going to sound like every other loan officer or the typical loan officer who's going out there and just saying, I do this, I do this, I do this. The joke that I always say is when somebody says, you know, I give I'm going to do great communication. Well, communication is the number one complaint that agents have about loan officers. But I've never in 38 years ever heard a loan officer go to an agent and say, I'm not going to give you good communication. So that's not special. It's just that agents are used to hearing this and then being disappointed. And if you happen to contact the agent at the right time when they're having communications issues with another loan officer, that could open up the door. The problem with that approach is it's the slow approach, it's the long approach. When you can do research and you can find someone to connect with, even on LinkedIn, many of you already know this, but I'll just say it anyway. Even on LinkedIn, once you connect with people, you can look at all of their connections and possibly find somebody that you already know that knows the person you're trying to get the attention of. There are so many ways that you can do this. And what I don't want you to do is I don't want you to spend hours, days, and weeks doing research. These are things that you can do inside of 5 minutes based per agent or referral partner that you're looking to contact. And again, I've been talking about agents, but if you get agents, attorneys, accountants, financial planners, insurance agents, builders, contractors, whomever it is that you're looking to develop a referral partner relationship with, it starts with what can I find out about this person? What do I know about this person? You know, I will say about 95% of the time, once in a while, it does fall through the cracks, and I'm going to be transparent, but about 95% of the time, whenever somebody makes an inquiry with me for a company for training or an individual for coaching, when I'm setting up that appointment with, they're going to fill out some information for me on my website, but I'm going to Google them. I want to see what they look like. I want to see what they're out there with so I can get a feel for who this person is that I'm going to be speaking to before I actually speak to them. So many loan officers just go by the seat of their pants in this relationship development. And here's the problem, it works. But the problem is, if it works, we feel that there's no need to do these other things. And what I'm saying to you is, by adding research, by getting to know who you want to speak to and understanding a little bit more about them, you can find something key that you could use to connect or strike up a conversation with them about. At least you're not flying blind and you're making your job easier. And you're also reducing your internal stress of sounding salesy, which is what so many people fear. They say, I don't want to sound like a salesperson. Well, guess what? You are a salesperson. But you know what? If you just take an interest in who you're speaking to and just ask questions, you'll never sound salesy because sincere interest in others is a great connector. And when you can do the research and find out more about who you want to meet with, the amazing thing is you're going to actually feel like you know this person better than you actually do. And it's going to reduce your stress and make connection easier. Looking forward to having you on my next podcast. Take care.